Hello, my name is Josh, and today we're talking about every form of nicotine, positives and negatives. There are a lot of negatives. Let's be real, but actually, just kidding. The title was actually clickbait. I've tried every form of nicotine that I know about, except for chewing tobacco, aka dip, and also the pouch. The pouches you put in your mouth, and they like explode and give you a fast rush of nicotine. So the reason I've never tried chewing tobacco is because I care too much about my oral health. That shit's like got sugar and all this crazy shit. Probably gonna get mouth cancer. And just even just the rotting or the receding of the gums, that would be horrible. Plus, you gotta spit all the time. It's gross to people around you. So while I do think that may have some advantages in terms of you get a big hit of nicotine, if that's an advantage for you, you can pack a lot in your lip and get like a extended dose of nicotine. So in a little bit, I don't know if it's expensive. It's probably not that expensive. It's also easily available, which is good. I guess it's easily available. I don't know. I think gas stations sell it and shit. In this, I mean, it doesn't harm your lungs. There's the high dose of nicotine. In general, high doses of nicotine are kind of bad for you. I'm not a doctor, obviously, but yeah, it like fucks with some organs and shit. But obviously, it's addictive. Okay, first off, don't do nicotine if you're not of age. Don't try nicotine if you're not really on it. Probably. I mean, there are some like perhaps mental like it's a neurotropic in some ways, and maybe helps prevent Alzheimer's. But all the various cancers and shit are horrible. So, and yeah, I don't think you're allowed to do dip on a plane. I mean, you're not really supposed to do any tobacco products, but some of these on the list aren't really tobacco products; they're just nicotine products. Um, let's start with the patch, or actually, let's start with hookah. Let me just list all the damn things I've tried. Patch, gum. Those are the two you can get if you're psychiatrically hospitalized, which is the only reason I ever tried the patch. Um, but now I just go with gum. So vaping, hookah, cigarette, cigar, not that different. Gum, lozenges, nasal spray, and now what I do these days, nasal snuff. So yeah, snuff could refer, I guess, to chewing tobacco dip or nasal snuff. For this, I'm just gonna call it snuff. I'm gonna try not to say nasal stuff. That's what I do these days. I did recently take a 1 month break from nicotine, and that was nice. And now I'm on snuff, which I think is a lower dose. And I think that's all the ones I've tried. No script in front of me. I actually went to the eye doctor early today. That might be why my pupils are a little dilated. I don't think nicotine dilates pupils, but I have been doing some nicotine. And this shit's addicting. I mean, even with snuff, I'm kind of doing it all day. That's why but it's a lot better than going back to vaping, in my opinion. So let's start with hookah. Like I was saying, hookah, I might have tried a spliff or two when I was in high school, which is weed and tobacco, but I wasn't really into it or anything. But then in college, I tried hookah. There were some Indian friends of mine early on in college days up at in Boston, and we went to a hookah bar. They had the hookahs outdoor at the in the restaurant, and it was a good hookah. Like it tasted really good. It was like grape and shit. Still remember it. It was awesome. But hookah, for one thing, does get expensive. You gotta buy the coals, you gotta buy the tobacco. It gets pricey. Uh, might not be as easily available as dip. Um, yeah, the other negative, strong negative. If you're doing it inside, if the coals spill off the bowl pack, you gotta put coals. You gotta buy fucking coals, man. Sucks. Yeah, if they fall, they'll like burn your floor, light your house on fire, whatever. So, if you have like a basement or some shit, maybe it's fine. But you get a huge, maybe like most hookah, probably do like one hookah a day. If you're doing it for yourself, one hookah could like one standard size hookah, you get such a strong nicotine, you almost get like sick, and you get like carbon monoxide poisoning from the coals. even the good coals. There's a couple types of coals. The natural coconut coals are better than the quick lights for sure. I mean, you can just tell if you smell it. Those quick lights are gross, but more convenient. So you get a huge dose of nicotine. I don't think it's as bad as cigarettes per puff. I mean, it does go through water and stuff, but it the tobacco is not actually burning. There's a hot thing on top, and it's basically just cooking it, but it's not like lighting the nicotine on fire. It ends up just being this charred, nasty shit. And they put a lot of glycerin in it, which is pretty much the same as vape juice. Yes. So that was hookah. That was like my first, and then probably more spliffs along the way. I don't really like spliffs. I mean, okay, let's talk about cigarettes. I never really did a lot of cigarettes. There were a couple months where I would roll my own cigarettes and smoke them. I was the Liberty tax waiver guy on the side of the street dressed up as the Statue of Liberty. If you know what I'm talking about, like the stream, yo. Like the vid. Thanks. Cigarettes. They definitely fuck up your lungs. That's without a doubt. They're addicting. They're expensive. They're not cool these days. Can't really do it anywhere. Even when you do it outside and you come inside, you're smelling like shit. I mean, maybe not like shit, but at least hookah, you smell a little fruity or whatever, but cigarettes, stench. Yeah. And if you do it inside, that's going to leave a long-lasting, nasty odor. I think the main shit is the cancer. I mean, have you seen those people with the nose? Like, they gotta, like, breathe out their neck? Ugh. God damn. God damn. Alright. I'm gonna briefly mention cigars, because I have tried, like, some Black and Milds and stuff. And I'm not gonna lie, if you're at a special occasion or whatever, it's fine. They're... I don't know. I mean, you're not supposed to inhale, but that's hard to do. You're supposed to just take it in the mouth. But, yeah, you're definitely still going to get mouth cancer, potentially. I'm not going to give you the numbers. Not everybody gets cancer, but a lot of people do. So, mouth cancer. They smell a little bit better than cigarettes, in my opinion. What was the other oral one? I'll go with vaping. And vaping, I vaped like every day for 8 years. Except when I was in the hospital, in which case I was chewing gum. Had a couple hospitalizations in there for psychiatric reasons. But feeling good these days. Vaping. I feel like it's less harmful than cigarettes per amount of nicotine. You can do it indoors some places, but I don't know, it's just too addicting. I was doing it all day, and even I was feeling like coughing more now that I'm off it for a couple months. I don't cough as much, but so I don't think it's like totally safe, but hey, it's very addicting. I mean, it's all addicting, but yeah, vaping, fruity flavors. Is it expensive? It can be. You gotta buy batteries and equipment and juice and stuff and new coils on a regular basis. You gotta change the coil in the tank. Like every 2 weeks is average, I guess. Or you could buy the disposable things. I should say there's a couple times you get the disposable things like the Jewel. I think they're out of business, but you can get like disposable things, and that's kind of wasteful in my opinion. But perhaps like I was mixing my own juice. I was getting the glycerin, the nicotine concentrate, and the flavor and stuff, and that probably wasn't safe, to be honest. I wouldn't recommend doing that, although that's the cheapest way to do it. There used to be some discount stores online, and then they stopped being able to sell flavors in Massachusetts where I live. But I'm gonna take a quick break here, do a little bit of nasal snuff. I guess I'm gonna save nasal snuff for last, just that's what I'm doing these days. Still kind of new to it, but experienced enough where I feel like I can make this video. So I think that's all the oral. Lozenges and gum. They're definitely like you're still getting nicotine. I'm not sure if it can lead to mouth cancer. I don't like chewing it too much. It does kind of the gum. Well, I was only chewing 4 milligram gum. It's easily available online and at like CVS and stuff too, I think. Same with the lozenges, and you could probably do them on a plane, no problem. Getting a little dry mouth from talking so much. Damn. Well, anyway, yeah, you got a decent release of nicotine. back to vaping. You can vape as strong or as weak nicotine as you like. So people go crazy. My problem was I was just doing it all day, every day. But fucking so gum, you chew it up. You're not chewing the whole time, so your jaw doesn't really get messed up. But then you park it in between your gums and your cheek, and then like 10, 20 minutes. They make some decent flavors. Doesn't really mess up the flavor. If you've only tried it in like a hospital like me, the hospitals have the awfulest unflavored gum ever. The texture, the flavor, everything sucks. And they only give you 2 milligrams. So yeah, gum comes in 2 or 4 milligram. Cigarette has roughly, I don't know, 10 or 11 milligrams. But some of it just blows off. But it hits you a little bit slower than smoking. I think smoking hits you the fastest. Smoking, vaping, etc. But yeah, I don't know. It's just the chewing, having something in your mouth all the time. For me, it's okay. I don't really use it. I haven't used it in a while, but if you're trying to quit a worst form of nicotine and wean yourself off, it's good. You get the exact dose. Well, not the exact dose, because sometimes there might still be a little bit left in the gum, but yeah. So gum versus lozenges. Usually I chew the gum because it's sugar free and clean for the teeth. A little bit, but the lozenges are okay. It's just tempting to like chew them, in which case sometimes that can lead to a little bit of nausea. But yeah, they taste good. Just let them chill. It's kind of similar to the gum, but hey. And yeah, available internet, CVS. Probably not a gas station. What else we got here? Patch, talked about that. Lame. Did I talk about all of them already? It seems too quick. Patch. Let's talk about nasal spray. I mean, nasal nicotine. So you get these little things. You can find them on eBay. I haven't really seen them anywhere else, but they're by like Nicorette, I think, which is a brand. So, and they have like 100 doses in them, so they're not the most expensive. About the same as gum, but I think the nasal spray hits a little harder than the gum and the lozenges, but not quite as hard as in the lungs. And that goes for the nasal snuff too. But damn, I'm failing at not saying nasal. Nasal. Anyway, so it hits good. It does, in my experience, I had to blow my nose a lot, which is inconvenient sometimes. Although I deal with it now with the snuff because I like it better and it's cheaper. But yeah, I think a thing like that, 100 doses, one spray in each nose. I think they run about $40, give or take. Not bad. I mean, it's 400 milligrams of nicotine, which is gonna cost you any form. But yeah, I don't do that either. I just do snuff, nasal snuff. Not sponsored or anything, but the snuff's a little bit cheaper depending on which one you get. Hard to give you exact amount. I haven't measured how much I'm taking per day, but when I run out of this order, I'll kind of have a rough idea. Probably costing me $1 or $2 a day. Probably like $2 a day, which is what vaping was costing me and stuff. But I was vaping and then doing the gum like to take a break from vaping, clean my teeth. But a snuff, it's more natural flavors than like the gum or the vaping, which are all artificial food flavors. But this sounds like back to like the natural tobacco, and I mean maybe they put some weird stuff in it, but it's like got herbs and stuff in it. Like it's pleasant. People might not like it. The feeling, some of them burn, especially the ones with menthol. The menthol ones open up the nasal passages for like 20 minutes, and then they kind of close up worse than they were originally. So I have been dealing with that, which is pretty annoying. Yeah, it hasn't been a huge issue. Like I can still breathe through my nose, and I think I still do most of the time. But yeah, so I don't know. It's just kind of more natural in a way. Probably does. I guess it could lead to nose cancer, but right now I'm more concerned about my lungs recovering. I've never really tried to quit nicotine. I quit for a month, about a month ago, so that went well. But I don't know. And I did feel better in some ways without the nicotine, but yeah, I've been a long-term user since I was 18. So I did take some time off in my 20s, but then I went back to the hookah and then the vaping. But hey, definitely the lungs needed a break. So my nose is taking some abuse, but I can still smell. That's one of the other downsides about cigarettes is it fucks people's smell up. So if that starts happening, I might seriously have to reconsider the snuff habit or cut back. But and they do make nasal snuff. If you're trying to quit nicotine, you could get on the nasal snuff as a replacement. That stuff's easily available. This stuff, nobody does nasal snuff in the United States. Like, I've never seen anyone do it or talk about it. I don't understand why. I really don't. But, you know. I'm not a follower, I'm a leader. But yeah, there's definitely some YouTubers that talk about stuff. But yeah, so it gets shipped over from Europe, which is a little bit part of the reason it's not super cheap. But you could also make it at home. I'm debating if I should try to grow some tobacco next year. I don't have the right type of mill to get it as fine as a proper snuff, but I have a Vitamix, so feel like I get it pretty fine. But just for fun, I wouldn't be able to mix all the herbs and stuff in, or if I don't know if they use essential oils. I really don't know, but plus if some of it's a little bit fermented, I don't want to deal with that. And it's not so expensive where I necessarily want to make my own, but I'm thinking about it, kind of for fun. Well, I think that's the cue to end the video. The truck beeping in the background. So, thanks for watching, listening. Again, I don't really recommend nicotine, but it's kind of nice, but it's definitely bad for you, and really hard as hell to quit. So thanks. Please subscribe, like, comment. Appreciate that. I definitely at this point need to read all the comments unless I get a tsunami, which has not happened so far. So I'm at 370 subs. Let's get some more. Talk about other things. Yeah, I've been talking about drugs and like just reviewing random stuff lately, but I talk about crypto too. So anyway, peace.